My name is Michael Leather, and I'm a MHK candidate for Onchan.
Why are you standing?
I'm standing because the island used to be a very successful tourist industry, and we've lost it all. And basically, the tourist industry affects the whole community with facilities and amenities, which we now do not appear to have.
So you are a new candidate. What's your background? Can you just give us a little bit of your professional background?
Well, regarding tourist industry, I was in the in the hotel on the promenade for in the 70s, and because of the tourist industry was going down, I sold out in the 80s.
So why is it you're standing in Keys and not? We have a local authority election next month. Did that not appeal to you?
No, local authority is all well and good, but the thing is that it's not going to get what my aim and objection is.
So what are the main priorities on a national scale?
The main priority on a national scale is for the island not to be 100% or a very large percentage on financial sector, and to diverse into the tourism, where at least we have a backup if anything happened with that.
So why tourism? What is it about the tourism industry that makes it this backup plan? We've seen tourism struggle so much over the last year. Is it really a safe investment?
Right, well, tourism basically comes from private income. Private enterprise. It's not government. Government needs to put in a reasonable amount of money and show that they're really genuinely interested in going forward with it. At the moment, we're just having, it's not a full commitment. And with tourism, it provides social, economic and environmental aspects. I mean, at the moment, if people want to go and enjoy themselves, where do they go? What facilities have we got? If they want to go to a skating rink, if they want to go, go out somewhere to a show, a live show, where are they? It's the same if they want to go across. I mean, if they want to fly to somewhere, there's limited destinations now.
Well, you talk in your manifesto a lot about facilities and about a development on Douglas Prom. Can you just tell us a little bit about your vision for this development?
Yes, when I took a master's degree 4 years ago, and it was on commercial property development, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do my dissertation based on the Isle of Man. So what I did is I based that and compared it with Blackpool. I mean, at the moment, Blackpool boasts that it has 18 million tourists a year, and which produces £1.5 billion. All we managed to do when tourism dropped is that we lost 150 million a year from the Common Purse Agreement. I think it makes sense.
So this is for essentially a extending of Douglas Prom, having underground parking, extending the seawall. From a construction point of view, how challenging would this project be?
Well, the project, if you look back in history, we wouldn't have a promenade other than Sir Henry Locke, who built out the sea wall. I mean, the original sea wall is at the back of W.H. Smith's. It went from W.H. Smith's, he extended it to the roadside of the Marine Gardens wall. And then it was later extended from the Marine Gardens wall out to where it is now. But that seawall's 100 years old. It's cracking. It needs replacing. Also, it's not high enough. I mean, if we're looking at the situation, the sea level is rising. We need a new seawall. So why not build it 200 meters out and have that whole area, that space that we can use, rather than just building it in front of the existing one?
How much would you anticipate something like this costing the taxpayer?
Well, when you say, is it costing the taxpayer, when you build this and then you have all the facilities that you provide, such as plots of land for hotels and various other things, supermarkets and whatever, it's going to be a perpetual income. There's an initial outlay, But that is based over a period of time. And the easiest way that the government can do is borrow the money for 30 years or something like that. But it's going to have an income from all sorts of avenues.
How difficult, though, would it be to fill that type of facility? We know the tourism sector has been through a difficult time. You talk about shops as well. There are vacant shops already on Douglas High Street. Is there really demand for this type of development?
Well, how many modern hotels does the island have over the past 10 years? 20 years? Nothing. The way to have a successful tourist industry is to provide good facilities, is to provide various economical ways. Blackpool scores because it has an access. People can travel there. It's not costing them a fortune. If you want to come to the Isle of Man, you've got to pay excessive rates on the boat or the plane. If you bring those prices down to where people can accommodate, they would come over for a weekend, a week, or whatever they want. But the main thing is that you can't have a boat turning around and saying, well, we want several £100 for you to bring your car. And expect people to say, oh, yes, when they can go to Blackpool for a few gallons of petrol.
Is Douglas Prom really the place for this type of development, though? We've seen flooding in recent years. We know with climate change there are rising sea levels. Is an underground car park going to be, feasible?
Well, the underground car park will obviously be waterproof. Mm-hmm. I checked with Seeker and a couple of other major companies who can guarantee 20-year waterproof situation. When that 20 years is up, then it can be re-waterproofed. So the problem with that is there isn't one.
You talk about the return on this investment. It would be from the businesses that use the site. What about in the short term? We know there's been increased spending because of COVID. This isn't going to pop up overnight. How does government make money in the short term?
Well, in the short term, the government, what the government's paying for basically is the seawall and some infrastructure obviously for the seabed. But once that's sorted, then the plots could be sold off. The Henry Locke, when he built the promenade, they almost paid for all the infrastructure by selling the plots of land to the boarding houses and the hotels that we've got now.
It is a very Douglas-centric idea, this. Does there not need to be investment elsewhere on the island as well?
Well, there does, but you have to start somewhere. And if you think about it, where does the boat come from?
In terms of the economy again with COVID, are people going to want to come to the Isle of Man? We've seen travel restrictions in place for so long. Are people going to want to come here? Will they not want to go further afield?
Well, people that are going further afield are enjoying long delays, having to come back to the UK because it's going to be closed and they're going to have to spend 2 weeks in a hotel costing thousands of pounds. The Isle of Man is safe and secure. And the other thing which we really need, we have cruise ships queuing up wanting to come to the Isle of Man, and we're not providing berthing facilities.
So would you like to see investment in the cruise side of things as well?
Well, very much so. With the sea wall I'm talking about, it being 200 metres out approximately, extend from the Victoria Pier and another pier in parallel with the Victoria Pier, the 200 metres. And then all we do is we extend the Battery Pier to protect from the adverse weather conditions. Then you can have cruise ships coming in, they can turn around there and they can face outwards. With easy access, it encourages the cruise ships to come.
Now, in terms of getting this type of project through Tynwald, you would obviously need support from your fellow members if you were to be elected. Do you think there is the political support for this kind of thing?
Well, the whole thing is it depends who the members are that are voted in. If they haven't got vision and things like that, then it's not going to happen. But unless someone goes to Tynwald and brings it to them, they're not going to make a decision.
What would happen from your point of view then if you did bring this to Tynwald and it was rejected? This is, the bulk of your manifesto is focusing on this idea. Do you have any other initiatives that you would be looking to bring?
Well, the first thing to do is to take things as they come. I mean, obviously, there is dissatisfaction all over the place. I mean, the thing which I found was the Office of Fair Trading. I mean, I had a couple of dealings with them. They're in the sticks, really. They're in St John's. Prior to that, they were in Douglas, and they were excellent. Going down there, it's difficult to find them. When you do, they don't want someone to help you, or don't appear to.
So you would want to focus on more centralised government
services?
Well,
there's lots of things, but the first thing is that when you're trying to focus and offer all sorts of things, where's that money coming from? If you're not going to generate money, the only way you can do it is what appears to have happened, is to balance the books, is to take the money from the reserves. I mean, it's not a very good idea. And I mean, how long will the reserves last that way?
Well, we focused a lot here on a project that would be very much a national thing. In terms of in your constituency, in Onchan, what are the big issues there?
Well, the big issues at the moment are being sorted with council, and really, other than overseeing it, there's little point in sticking your nose in to make things worse. I mean, there's lots of children there. There's teenagers going around in little groups, just walking around with nowhere to go. But again, I mean, that kind of thing which I'm trying to bring, they would go down there and there'd be all sorts of entertainment for them.
So would you not want to see facilities like that in Onchan, though? Is that not what you think your voters
well, you have
might be
to
looking
start
for?
Somewhere. If you're going to start spending money all over the place, it's not going to happen. It's not feasible. It's not practical. You have to start somewhere, generate money, and then move on, and so on.
You mentioned the groups of young people in Onchan there. There have been lots of concerns raised over antisocial behaviour in the area. What are your thoughts on policing?
Well, policing, you occasionally see them turn up, but I mean, realistically, I think that on some of the parts where the areas are not very safe, it will be to have cameras, and that way it will control things.
And another big issue in Onchan in recent years has been the area plan for the east, and in terms of developing homes. Housing does seem to be a recurring theme in the run-up to the election. What are your thoughts on housing?
Well, on housing, 4 years ago, I showed my dissertation to the DED. And when we were discussing things, I explained to them that they've lost a lot of money by not introducing CIL, which is Community Infrastructure Levy. Over in England, they have it. And within Community Infrastructure Levy, it controls things, because if construction firms want to build on farmland or good prime land, then there is a cost per square foot for it. If they're building on existing land, which is called a brownfield site, then the costs are a lot less. The other thing which happens is that they can build 100 houses, 150 houses, and then walk away. And the council then has to foot the bill for roads, streets, sewers, things like that. So the Community Infrastructure Levy pays for that kind of thing. There is also a situation with Community Infrastructure Levy where the affordable housing, so the builder, if they say they're doing 100 houses, they can do 10% for affordable housing, which is that houses are in extremely good, there's no shortcut or lower grade materials. It's just that it's part of the Community Infrastructure Levy, which they have an option to use.
So would you like to see more housing if there was something like a Community Infrastructure Levy in place? Would you like to see more housing, more affordable housing in Onchan, or do you think it's about right at the moment?
Well, the more housing that you build, the less land you've got. And the other problem which you have is that you can build too many housings, so when it rains and whatever, you're going to end up with flood risks.
You mention in your manifesto as well about car parking facilities, traffic, general congestion on the roads. What would you like to see being done to tackle that?
Well, it's a question where you need more car parking, and the space, such as what I'm suggesting, it's not taking any land off the island at the moment. It's gaining land from the sea.
Is it just about car parking though, or do there need to be fewer cars on the road?
Well, fewer cars on the road is a good idea, but who's going to do without?
But what would there need to be some government initiatives to help with that? Would you like to see perhaps improve public transport, those kind of things?
Well, it's a question when you're talking about public transport. If people go into town shopping and they've got their hands full of bags, are they going to have to walk all the way to the bus station and wait there on the bus, and then come from the bus, then perhaps walk up a hill to where they live?
So looking at the last 5 years then, the current government, what are your thoughts on the current administration?
Well, it's. I mean, basically, I can just say, just look at the promenade, and that's my opinion. I mean, how you can have a large construction site going on the way it has, and then having no penalty clause, which encourages the construction firm to complete it as quickly as they can. If you're not doing that and you just left them with open end, this is what you deserve and what you get.
So what would you have done differently? Would it have just been about a penalty clause?
Well, I would looked at it realistically. I mean, the promenade is a very busy place. So instead of just having one construction firm, I would have looked for three. I would have given a contract for the north, the middle and the southern end of the promenade. I would have had 2 phases. When phase 1 is done, they would have had a date to have completed. After that, there'd been a penalty clause. At phase 2 would be the same if they hadn't completed by the time that they're doing. Again, the penalty clause would come in. Obviously, there's things which unforeseen and allowances can be made, but you have to tie these people down. If you're doing it this way, you can just have half a dozen men on going around doing bits around, rather than getting the whole force and completing.
Given the delays that there have been on the prom scheme, though, would the public really want to see the prom being dug up again for your project?
Well, it's not being dug up again because it's on the beach.
But the general construction noise and the site of a building site.
Well, people have to see what's. I know what it would look like and the appearance and what it would do and the kind of money that it could bring in. Other people are not able to see that. You'd have to do plans, you'd have to show them, you'd have to explain it.
But isn't that what government's done with the prom scheme?
Sorry?
Isn't that what the government's done with the prom scheme, though? They're telling us when it's finished it will look great.
Wonderful. The whole thing with the government one is, did you look at the brochure, the issues and options that they had? I mean, it was very difficult for the public to go and make the thing because it was only available in 2 or 3 little places. And then when you look at it, it's different to what the outcome is.
So just finally then, if someone votes for you, your values, what are they getting?
Well, they're getting someone who wants to improve the island. I mean, at the moment, there's very little of anything. When you finish work or at night time you want to go out or you'd like to go to a show or something like that, there's nothing.